Welcome to Thoughts Off the Stem. I'm Justin Barone, your friendly neighborhood pothead, and today we're smoking SFV OG by Black Market. It's 31.1%. It's relaxing. It's nice. Today, I wanted to talk about a couple things weed related, because we haven't done that in a little while. So I figured, you know what? It's time to do that. Basically, what I wanted to talk about was the fact that the shop I used to work at got robbed at gunpoint. That's fucked up, right? You know what's even more fucked up about that? Is that within like 3 weeks, I noticed that on LinkedIn, there were a couple people that were utilizing that thing happening to sort of like push their opinions. Now, don't get me wrong, it's worth talking about, but I just feel like it's kind of dirty and greasy and disgusting when somebody tries to utilize a super negative or bad situation to push their own agenda and try to get attention from that community, right? I know that, like, I've talked about this all the time. I always seem to be talking about like what society is like, but that just to me seems like the scourge of society, the type of person that preys on really shitty situations happening and then pushing their own fucking agenda. They do have a bit of a point, because there's a lot of issues with the weed industry, and it's not just like it's blanket, it's across the board. Like, we've got, people complaining about a lot of different things, whether it's customers or business owners, things like that, because the government has their hands in all the pockets, and the OCS in Ontario is, the monopolized distributor of all things cannabis. Well, anything that's an actual cannabis product. It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of fucked up that we've let that happen. The good side to that is the fact that at least with the OCS, there's whatever surplus they make, which is a lot because they make a shit ton of fucking money, dude. Their surplus then is supposed to go back to the government for whatever the government feels like it could use it for, which is a great concept if the government would start using it. Our economy is obviously very close to nearing a recession, and essentially you have a piggy bank full of money that you can just sort of pick from as you want, and you want to sit there complaining. The weed industry itself could essentially keep the economy afloat, I think. I don't actually think that. I'm just kidding. But to get to my original point, it's disgusting. It's disgusting to watch somebody try to use a scenario where people could have been severely injured to push the narrative or push the point that they're trying to make, which is basically, hey, all of the regulations that the government is putting on the cannabis industry at the retail level is bullshit. It's not all bullshit. Trust me, you need to have some of these regulations. The stupid parts and the parts that I guess sort of like led up to and gave these criminals the ability to do this thing is the fact that we have to have in Ontario, in a retail cannabis shop, you're not supposed to be allowed to see into the shop through the windows. So whether that means that you build a fake wall right behind the door so that all the products on the shelves are covered, or if you put that like window film on it to make it so that you can't really see inside, those are the things that obviously have more potential for something like this to happen, because you're covered. You're covered from the outside. All you need is like one person to watch the front door and deter people from coming in, and the next thing you know, a fucking armed gunman can turn around and intimidate whatever bud tenders, most likely young people. In the case of the shop that we had, it was most likely women. It's pretty easy when you're a big dude walking in with a gun and a hammer to try and intimidate somebody. But I feel like it's equally as abhorrent of somebody to try and utilize that to try and get attention within the industry. Now, this person who I don't want to name because I don't want to give like any kind of recognition to them, started calling out the owners of the shop, which is a big company, head office, and they're basically saying, hey, you got to start petitioning the government to make these things, to make these regulations kind of go away. What needs to happen is that the government needs to start paying attention to the pitfalls of the regulations that they're putting out, right? So, for example, in retail cannabis, or anybody that has anything to do with the sale of cannabis, you have to have an AGCO investigator come in and check out your shop. They write a report. It goes to their legal team. The legal team then ups it to wherever they need it to go to get these regulations changed. Okay, I think personally it is stupid that you have to have a fake wall, that you have to have window coverings. Because here's the bottom line: there's no actual weed out in a pot shop, right? The weed that is out is in a bag. Like, you can't see the nugs in there, which is a big problem for a lot of customers, because they want to, a lot of the questions you get have to do with, can I see the nugs? What do the nugs feel like? What do the nugs look like? How are they gonna, are they frosty? Are they dry? Are they this? Are they that? Well, I can't show you that shit. I can't show you that shit because the regulations are fucked up in that way. It would be nice if you could have like little tester jars that you could have sitting out so people could see. But yeah, regulations don't change because the heads of retail businesses start pushing back. You need the whole community to push back. You need customers, you need operators, you need producers, you need the staff on that level to start pushing back, to start petitioning the government and really making some fucking noise, right? But to start driving the narrative that this is all fucked up and trying to use a scenario like that, I don't know. It feels dirty to me. I think you should have a better plot line. I don't think that you should use the potential harm for other individuals to sort of push and promote that point. And it wasn't like they were pushing the fact that this robbery is detrimental to the safety and the well-being of people. They were really pushing the fact that the regulations needed to be changed. The side effect was the safety and the health and the general well-being of the people involved in those organizations. I think there's a better way to do it. I think that the article or the write-up, whatever it was that he had posted, shouldn't have necessarily been directed at the at the event that happened. It should have been more directed at what is actually what the regulations do, and why the regulations are set the way they are, because there are reasons for the regulations to be set the way they are. I just think at this point, 5-6 years in to legalize cannabis in Canada, you should, be adjusting some things. I've heard some rumblings that some stuff is going to change, and it should. I think that the first step to the change, I think I agree, is that it should, don't cover the windows. Don't put up false walls. Don't block the view inside. I mean, you can walk by an LCBO, look in the window, and see what the deal is. You don't have to worry about covering up all the alcohol because it's fucking normalized, right? So the fact that we're just like, we think that we're still treating cannabis with kid gloves, and there's no reason that we need to do that. I think at this point, most people should be treated like adults. And that's really where we need to get to, because what we're doing as an industry is essentially cultivating and creating and maintaining a certain level of fear around these products. Okay? You could work at a bank and have the same thing happen. You know what the difference is? Banks have big fucking, at least here, they have big window walls at the front of the store so you can see, or at the front of the bank, so that you could see all the way in. You could see if a teller is getting a fucking note slip to them saying, I have a bomb, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Whereas in a cannabis shop, as soon as you turn the corner, it's free reign, dude. People could start fights. Anything can happen. Now, as a cannabis consumer, what the fuck are you doing going to a shop to try and start some violence? That's fucking ridiculous. They sell you fucking happiness. You know what I'm saying? There are other regulations as well that are really stupid. Like, you can't, so in Ontario, you cannot have like a celebrity endorsement for cannabis. So like, You can't, that's why Seth Rogen left. You can't have Seth Rogen promote the weed that he sells because he's a celebrity and everybody can basically watch him. So they're worried that kids will see that and find it appealing and then start using before they really should, before the age of 18 or 19, I guess. That's kind of dumb. The other part is that it's a gray area to even have like celebrity endorsed bongs and accessories. I mean, come on, man, who gives a fuck? Those are huge ticket sellers. You know, potheads want cool, stupid shit. Okay, that's what we want. We want to get high and look at the thing that we got high with and be like, oh man, that's so cool, bro. Especially once you're high. Oh, bro, that's the bomb diggity. Like, we used to get these little taco dab rig bong things. It's literally a glass taco. Okay, and you can fit maybe like a half gram of weed into the bowl. It's barely a one hitter. All right. There's no room for like any kind of water really. So you're not getting any of that filtration that you're expecting from a bong. You're just getting like a straight back of the throat smoke hit, which is generally quite like too much, you know, but people love that shit. They buy it up. Potheads are basically collectors of trinkets. That's what we do. We have to have weed accessories that are trinkets. Like, we used to sell bowls that look like pineapples. Dude, that bowl was so deep. Or even skull head bowls. I have one somewhere. They're so deep you could put like 2 fucking grams in that. Nobody needs that. Okay? You don't need to take a 2-gram hit. You know what you're going to be doing for the next fucking 24 hours? Nothing. You're going to be sleeping off and on. But that's what we love. We love stupid shit. And to get a pothead or a cannabis consumer excited about a small insignificant product is pretty fucking easy, especially as a pothead myself, because there's stuff that I think is cool that after having tried it, there's no way I would fucking use it again. It's just excessively stupid. And that's another problem, I think, with part of the consumption of cannabis, is that people think that more is better. They're always chasing this like big heavy high. They're always trying to amp up that high, bring it up a little bit more, make it more intense. And I think that the regulations actually promote that in a weird way. Because you can't, like, for example, if you were going to buy edibles, okay? In Canada, you can only buy edibles that in a package that max out at 10 milligrams. Well, that's like not enough for anybody that is into or is a regular consumer of cannabis, right? That's not like, that's like a little starter pack. You know, that's a tester. Oh, does it taste good? Sweet. Do I feel anything? Maybe not. Depends on the actual producer, I guess. Whoever makes that product can make it better or more potent or less potent, especially if they know what they're doing. But it still promotes you buying like a shit ton because you feel like it creates this like anticipation of, oh, I don't want to run out, right? And then the next thing you know, you're going too far down the fucking rabbit hole. That's what a lot of these regulations do. They push you to believe that you need more. And you need to, like, what am I trying to explain? I guess what I'm saying is that it really creates an anxiety because potheads a lot of the time are smoking weed to alleviate the anxiety. Well, if you tell a pothead you can't have more than this, anxiety back up. There we go, ramped right up. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, with the regulations for window coverings and storefronts and stuff like that, it definitely does make the industry at the retail level much more susceptible to negative interactions. You know, you're having to age gate everybody, so you're basically saying, hey, like, it doesn't matter who it is either. Like, you have to identify everybody, check everybody's ID cards and stuff like that to make sure that they're over the age of 19. The regulation literally states that you have to check everyone. If you go into the LCBO, you can very easily just walk in. Now, what people don't realize a lot of the time is that even at the LCBO, it's a similar policy. Okay, the LCBO, if you're American, is like our liquor store. That's where you go buy liquor. Their policy is that you have to have your ID on you at all times when you're in that shop or in that store or whatever, right? So that way, if an AGCO investigator comes in and asks you for ID, you can produce it. The LCBO never asks you for it at the door. You could just walk in. You can walk in with your kids. You can't walk into a cannabis shop with your kids. That's a no-no, a big-time no-no. That'll actually get you violated and potentially shut down for a short period of time. Not that I want you to be able to like take your kids in, but there's a lot of single parents that have young children that they can't just leave in the car. I mean, that's not right, right? Next thing you know, you come back outside and the window's broken because some dude was like, you left your baby in here. Like, fuck you, man. I was in for a second. But like, that kind of stuff promotes that, that, I guess, jump in anxiety because you feel like you're confined to only having certain things. So a lot of people, when they come in, they'll buy, like 20, 30 packages of gummies because you could sell a shit ton of it. The equation to how much weed's in a gummy to like what dried flower is not, is so low that you could buy a lot more gummies than you can flour. Now, like I was saying, you could buy a 10 milligram pack of gummies that'll blow your mind, right? But it's not going to make you have that feeling of like you're wading through water and you can't move your arms and you can't get up. Like that's not what happens. But a lot of potheads want that, especially a lot of experienced potheads. Think about it like this. If you have a few drinks, right, at the end of the day when you're home from work to relax, well, after like two glasses of wine, you have this kind of like, or beer, whatever, you have this like relaxed sensation in your body, right? You can just sort of let the day wear off. Well, that's what people go for when they're smoking weed. They come home from the day, they want to just wear the day off, right? And they want to relax. The problem is, once they relax, they have to re-up. So what a lot of potheads and experienced users do is they'll go back and they'll smoke a little bit more because they want to maintain that force field of comfort, right? And I think that honestly, it's less harsh on you. The next day you feel pretty good, you feel rested, you feel lazy. The downside to it is that it essentially turns your brain off, depending on what you're smoking. If you're smoking like an indica or an indica-leaning hybrid, then your brain is off. Thought is not happening at all, okay? So, to me, when you turn around, when an overseeing body regulates how much you can have, what you can have, when you can have it, right, and how accessible it is, then you sort of start breeding anxiety to people. Because like I said, potheads have this like worry that they're gonna run out. Like when the pothead is down to his last nug, he's freaking out. He's like, oh my God, I gotta go to the store, I gotta go to the shop, I gotta re-up, I gotta get back to the level I'm used to. There's this sense of like stability to that. I know it's stupid. I used to be that guy. I'm not like that now. But then again, I do have like a pot shop's worth of pot in my house. So whatever. I'm not really hurting for it. My daughter said that to me the other day. She goes, Dad, you haven't been to the shop in a while to pick up some weed. I'm like, no. She's like, do you just have like a ton of weed in the house? I'm like, yes, I do. Absolutely. And I did that because I wanted to, when I was working in that environment, I wanted to know as much as I possibly could about everything I possibly could, right? And then that way I was more educated in dealing with the customers and the people that come in, as well as coworkers and stuff like that. You gotta love what you do, man. That's all I'm saying. But in terms of denying sight lines into stores, there's a few reasons that that's a bad move. One, obviously, like I was saying at the beginning of this, with the robbery at the shop, it promotes that sort of thing into happening. It also creates and provides like a mystique to the general public, and sometimes like wrongfully so. Um, it breeds a little more negativity because you can't see in, so it just like feels kind of shady. You know what I mean? Like if you can't see around a corner in a back alley, you get a little nervous. It's the same as like looking at a pot shop. You kind of feel nervous still. We have to sort of break that stigma. We have to break the nervousness. We have to make it more mainstream. We have to normalize it. And people want to say that the only way to do that is if governments, or if our government reduces and eases up on regulations. Sure, but there's also other things that you can do as well. Instead of just waiting on the government, which in Canada takes forever to amend or change any kind of policy, one of the things that you can do is create a more welcoming environment, right? Don't make it so seedy. Don't make it look like shit. Like make sure that your shop looks like something you would looks professional. Now, okay? One of the things that I do have to say is whoever's making these pot shops that look like fucking jewelry stores, stop it. It's too hard. Like people, when we go into a shop, we don't want to see a fucking strain card that tells us what the strain is that we're gonna be smoking. We want to see the product. So instead of just putting out the strain card, maybe put out the product. Even if it's packaged and you can't see it, it's still psychologically more inviting. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just have a strain card and something it's like you're going into, what was that store called? Consumer Direct. Does anybody remember Consumer Direct? That's what it's like going into a pot shop. You're going to like Consumer Direct to order out of a catalog. That's bullshit. Okay, let's not do that anymore. Let's put all the products out on the shelves. Let's have them available to look at. Maybe not the bud themselves, but at least the packaging. There's information on the packages that are pertinent. Fuck, I can't remember the word. I took an alpha brain too, and I still can't remember shit. There's still information on the packages that are like essentials to what the consumer needs to know. Because it used to be you would just look up THC and you wanted the highest, most potent THC you could possibly find. Well, there's other cannabinoids in the plant that'll make it a little bit better. It's the same with gummies and stuff like that. There's certain things that as a consumer you should look for. And you know what? Maybe I'll do that in a different episode. I'll do a whole episode about what the consumer should look for in the packaging in of cannabis in a retail shop, because that'll give you a better idea. Then you don't have to mess around with bud tenders that don't know what they're talking about. There's a lot of bud tenders that know what they're talking about, but it seems to me that I hear a lot about bud tenders that don't. And if you're going to be in the industry, at least be good at what you do. Know your regulations as well, because if you don't know the regulations and you don't understand them, you're going to run into some issues pretty quickly, especially with the governing body. But where was I going? Okay, what was I saying? I was saying, shit, what was I saying? I was saying that it's, I totally forgot. I took myself on a tangent. It'll come back to me. Hold on. Let's take a puff. I hope you're enjoying the sesh. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for joining me, Justin Barone, your friendly neighborhood pothead on Thoughts Off the Stem. Don't forget to subscribe. Help me out. Get some viewers. Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's certain things that you can do when you run a shop to make it more inviting, make it seem less seedy, make it a little bit more like welcoming and friendly, right? Also, you should get away from, like I said, just doing the whole like jewelry store thing or like an iPhone store, some weird shit where you just have a bunch of glass cases out with the strain card. Nobody wants that. All the head offices that I'm aware of all do the same thing. Oh, put this strain card out, educate the people. realistically, your bud tenders should educate the people. They should educate the people on the regulations. They should educate the people on the products. They should educate the people on how to use them properly. Okay? And you should be really good at it. You shouldn't just be there to get free weed. Because sometimes I see some people that are just there to get free weed and they spout the same thing over and over about stuff. But yeah. Aside from being able to create a welcoming, warm, and open environment, I think that would be the next step. Once you've created that, I think that it's time to loosen some of the regulations. And yes, I do agree that the first regulation that should go is the visibility into a shop. Like, get the fuck over it, man. If kids see in the window, that's up to the parents to educate them on why, what, how, where, and when. You know what I mean? It's not up to a government to shield people from things, I don't think. It's up to them to protect them from it, sure. But the protection really, especially in a controlled substance like marijuana, alcohol, tobacco, whatever it is, you should be able to expect that parents or users, grown-ups, adults, because that's who's allowed in there, have the ability, or at least make the attempt at educating their kids on what cannabis is and why they use it. I think that hiding it from people is a bad idea. Like, I've said this before at a podcast, but just as like a last note, I guess. I've seen a lot of young families, like I'm talking about, parents in their 30s, late 20s, and they buy smoke buddies. Now, if you don't know what a smoke buddy is, have you ever smoked weed and then, like when you were a kid, and then somebody had like a toilet paper roll with a bounce sheet over it, and every time you take a hit, because you're smoking in the house, you take a hit, you blow the smoke out the bounce sheet, and it doesn't smell like weed smoke? That's essentially what a smoke buddy is. It's a little like rubber tube type thing that has I think it's a carbon filter inside, where when you take your hit of your joint and you blow it out, it filters out all the smoke and the smell. Okay, that's the dumbest fucking product I've ever seen. And the people that use that, it's stupid, dude. Because your joint is still lit. Your bong bowl is still lit. Okay? The smell is not coming necessarily from your exhale. The smell is coming from the joint or the bong or the dab rig. Like, that's where the smell is coming from. So you blowing into a little fucking filter doesn't change that for anybody. They still fucking smell it, man. Such a stupid product. And the mentality of using it is dumber. And I've seen a lot of these, like I said, young families purchasing these things on the regular and basically saying, well, I don't want my kid to smell the smoke. Stupid, they smell the smoke. The smoke is fucking in your hand as well. If you're sitting there burning a joint, it still stinks, dude. You need a smoke buddy for your joint, but that would be hard because then it would probably just catch on fire. Like, there's got to be something out there. Make that. Someone should make that. But yeah, that's one of the dumbest things that I think I've ever seen. That's about as dumb as the window covering regulations. Like, come on, get over it. If a parent can't teach their kid about what cannabis is and why they shouldn't or should use it, or like shouldn't because they're a kid. But I mean, I educate mine all the time on what, especially now that they're getting older and they're becoming teenagers, like there's a lot of interest in it, right? So I've had to spend a lot of time basically explaining to them why I don't want them smoking this early. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think they won't want to try it very soon, but it's my responsibility as the parent to make sure that they understand that, like, don't do it. I didn't start smoking weed until I was 18. And I feel like if they are going to try it then, that's probably 18, 19 would be an acceptable time. I wouldn't want them smoking before that. Like 14, 15, I don't know, man. I feel like you might wreck your brain. I knew a couple guys grew up, they started smoking at 14, and as we got into our 20s, you sort of questioned how they tied their shoelaces. I felt like giving out a lot of Velcro shoes as gifts for Christmas for a bit there. But yeah, I think that we need to do a little bit better with the regulations. I think that we should stop using, because everybody knows about robberies in the industry, because like word travels fast, man, and it doesn't need to be made a big public point, right? It's already in the news, it's already public. So what we need to do is we need to more so band together and create an industry that is far more professional than it is, especially at like the highest levels, because you want your leaders and you want the innovators of the industry to be professional, man. And I think that trying to highlight doom and gloom to get attention is sort of the wrong direction. Like, we're smoking weed, it's supposed to be a good time, so maybe instead of making that the focal point, make the stupidity of the regulations the focal point, and that as a footnote to sort of explain what the bigger point is. Don't make it the focus of the explanation for the bigger point. Does that make sense? That's what I think. I think it was kind of a bullshit move. And I think that we need to do better. I think we got to stop acting like complainy stoners and take a stand on it, One other way you could combat it is by, putting, like, I know a lot of these retail shops aren't making a ton of money, but you could take you could take more than what you're doing right now and put more money into getting better employees so that situations like that don't happen, and then regulations don't become as much of an issue. We definitely need to get rid of age gating. That needs to go away for sure. Because no matter what, you still have the opportunity to ask for ID at the till, and that's where you really should do it, not as like a bouncer club situation. I don't think. It creates too much animosity. It already starts everybody off on the wrong foot because we're so far into it. But that's what I think. And those are my thoughts off the stem for this week. I hope you enjoyed the sesh. I hope you come back next week and join me, Justin Barone, your friendly neighborhood pothead, on Thoughts Off the Stem. Subscribe to Thoughts Off the Stem on YouTube, and then check out the Strain Review podcast, Sunday Strain Review playlist. Jesus, I can't get that right. It's like a tongue twister for me, and I made it up. So check out the Sunday Strain Review playlist on Thoughts Off the Stem's YouTube channel, and subscribe. There we go. Visit tots420.com for some weed blogs and links to all the different episodes. Yeah. I hope you have a good one. I hope everything goes good for you. I hope you have a good week, a good year, a good life, everything like that. And until next time, keep your lids low, baby.